That ideology, though, structures society in Marxism. Marx says that it brainwashes everybody. The people in the upper class come to believe it because it benefits them. The people in the lower class come to believe it because they're conditioned and forced to believe it. The doctrine is called material determinism. You're determined by your material conditions. Critical race theory imports all of this. Every bit of it. Special form of property created by whites and their adjacents, called whiteness. They give themselves access. They exclude people of color. They create an ideology called white supremacy. White supremacy conditions everybody with structural determinism. It thus creates a system of racism, a systemic racism or a structural racism that you can participate in or you can affect even if there's not a single racist person or racist intention. The system itself becomes racist or is racist because it was designed to be racist because it was created by people who have a vested interest in having a racist society by organizing it around whiteness. Every concept you've heard about in critical race theory goes right back to Marx. Cultural appropriation. Does that not make perfect sense now? The bourgeois are stealing the labor product of the underclass. The whites are stealing the cultural labor products of the underclass. Literally exactly the same thing, and that's why we can't have tacos on Tuesdays anymore. We have to wait till Wednesday. This is why I say critical race theory is race Marxism, and this is why you have to understand that it's a Marxist theory. But everything else you're experiencing in the world right now is also a Marxist theory. Critical race theory, in fact, is unfortunately a Marxist setup. Sure, they would take over society if they could, using race instead of class as the axis of Marxist conflict analysis, but it wasn't going to work. America actually turned out to be better than that. We're not as racist as they said. We're not going to become as racist as they need in order to be able to move that agenda. But it does turn out that you can, especially with children, you can take them and you can demonize their skin color. You can demonize them for being in the wrong identity group. You can tell them that their options are to become an activist if they happen to be in a so-called POC identity, or that they have to become an ally if they do not have that identity. And then the problem is they can't do it right. So you have to become a political activist on behalf of critical race theory, but you're never going to do it right. Allyship, yeah, recenters the needs of the privileged. It gives you the opportunity to say you're doing the work, that you're an anti-racist, when you're not. You're just benefiting yourself. You're doing it wrong. So imagine you're 7 years old and you're hearing this. You're hearing atrocity after atrocity after atrocity tied to people who look like you, in a prevailing message that people who look like you are the problem, and have created the system so that it'll go this way. And then when you try to do the right thing, they tell you you aren't doing it right, and they tell you you aren't doing it right again, and they tell you you have to try harder, you have to do the work, you have to read more, you have to go through a struggle session.